For those of you who don't know me, I'm Chris Young. I run the originations group here at Echelon, along with my partner, Steve Serbavin. We are pretty excited to be introducing Railtown AI to you. We have Corey Brandolini here today, the CEO, and Marwan Haddad, the CTO. We have known Corey for many a year, but we've really gotten involved over the last year with Railtown. We think it's a very exciting new story. It's publicly traded under RAIL. The most simple way to describe it is a debugging platform using AI for software development. But I will allow Corey and Marwan to get into the nitty gritty of that. But again, very exciting new story using generative AI that I think will do very well. So Corey, over to you.
Thanks, Christine. Can you hear me? Am I on?
Yep.
Wonderful. Thanks, Christine. That's a nice introduction. Thanks, everyone, for joining in today to hear about all of these wonderful AI companies. Thanks again to Echelon for organizing this nice virtual event. Great. So quick introduction. My name is Corey Brandolini. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Railtown AI. With me today is Marwan Haddad, CTO and co-founder of Railtown AI as well. I'm going to start with a little bit of a verbal glossary right in the beginning. Rob did such a great job giving some great descriptions about the industry and the space at large. But for this presentation, a little verbal glossary. When we refer to our machine, we're talking about our AI. When we refer to copilots, it's description of an AI assistant that works with our user and helps our user do a significant amount of the heavy lifting, dealing with a lot of the mundane tasks that our customer, which is a software developer, has to go through, to allow that developer to accelerate his productivity. And thirdly, when you hear the term generative AI, and it's used quite generally across this industry, from our perspective, generative AI is giving a humanistic output to what you're doing. So it gives your co-pilot a humanistic response to your workflow. So just a little glossary there. I'm going to actually start with investment highlights in the very beginning here. So to give you a quick coverage on our company and who we are, we have a seasoned team here of co-founders and senior developers that have got multiple decades in building complex enterprise software and AI solutions. We also have a seasoned capital markets team between myself and our CFO that have spent decades in the capital markets industry. Also, 100% of our machine and our AI has been developed and built from the ground up here in Vancouver, BC. It's 100% owned intellectual property. We have multiple provisional patents along what we've built. And we've also been, one of the things I think was important to note that in Rob's opening presentation is, time spent on your machine and your modeling. And so we started this process about 4 years ago when we were writing our white paper, and then we started building out our machine and training it since then. So we've had over 3.5 years of training our machine to get to the point of what I think Rob talked about is an optimization level that you can actually be confident that it's giving the results back to your customers. So we've got years of building and training our machine. Obviously, we're in the software space, so this is a very large and expanding vertical market. We know there's nothing bigger out there than software. Software runs the world. Everybody needs software. It's obviously one of the most important things that gets us through our day-to-day lives. To date, we've got a very large beta testing community that's been very crucial as we built out our machine to train it. And we also have no barrier to entry. One of the things we did in early days is we made sure that our application and our AI was fully integrated with all of the best-in-class tools that developers use today to build and maintain and launch software applications. We're also a first mover in this area. We started to look at applying AI to software engineering many years ago. And it was a passion play for my team and I to get to this point where we could build something out that would help remove a lot of the mundane tasks and also the problems that come along with building and maintaining software, and applying an artificial intelligence agent to that workflow was something that was a very much part of our DNA, what we wanted to achieve. So we've been working at this for some time to get here. So when we looked at this space, we even actually had early conversations with Microsoft in the very, very beginning about, what their thought processes and how they were going to see AI coming out to, to their marketplace. And they were quite interested in what we were doing, so much so that they, we quickly accelerated our relationship with them to as a full Microsoft partner. As you see there in the slide, we're also now a certified Microsoft partner. We've been with them since the onset in the very, very beginning. It's been very helpful as we've rolled out and developed and built our application. We've also reached just recently what's called Microsoft co-sell status, which puts Railtown in a position where other Microsoft sales reps and other Microsoft partners can now sell our application on behalf of Railtown, which is obviously very exciting for us. Gives us a great go-to-market to enterprise customers without cost on our side. And in the past year, we've also established a strong enterprise reselling partner out of Microsoft. And we're working on an MSP strategy, a managed solutions provider solution, where Railtown will be bundled in as an Azure end-to-end AI dev solution, along with one of their flagship products, as you may have heard of, called GitHub Copilot and Application Insights and Azure DevOps. So we're really excited to see how that rolls out over the next few quarters. We're also a battle-tested solution. One of the things, again, Rob brought up in the very beginning is when you're looking at AI is, what stage is it? How has it gotten through its training? Where is it today? How is it functioning? And is it actually commercial ready? So we've obviously been at it for like I said, almost 4 years on building. We've actually even dog-fooded our own application with our AI, basically having our AI help us build our actual applications, so that we went to market with it. It spent a lot of time battle tested. We're also excited to say 2 of our first 3 applications, or copilots, if you will, we've commercially launched on the Microsoft Marketplace. Very specifically, as part of our rollout and partnership with Microsoft, we wanted to put our first 2 products up there for their teams to look at. And so we're excited to say we've actually pushed our first 2 products to the Microsoft Marketplace. We are a SaaS solution, so obviously there's a very high SaaS value, very high SaaS solution margins as well. So easy to go to market and with very little barrier on those. We're also a CAC listed company under the symbol RAIL, and we have just recently filed for our OTC listing. So what is Railtown? So in the very beginning, I gave you a quick little snapshot at the top. We're a generative AI Copilot assistant to software developers for the very specific goal to help software developers improve productivity, drive down inefficiency, and improve product quality, lower costs, and accelerate engineering and team velocity. As you'll see in the slides coming up, a significant amount of time of devs' time is spent problem solving. On average, you'll see developers write maybe 10 to 20 lines of code per day, which might take up 20% of their time, and the rest of the day is spent debugging, problem solving, and managing the overall application. Our goal at Railtown was to build a system that can pick up all of that bulk work in order for the developer to be more productive and putting his time into writing more code and deploying more of their builds. So where is the problem that Railtown's tackling? It's quite a big one. To date, and we've lived this, we've experienced ourselves over the many years we've been building software, is that about 40% of a dev's time is fixing problems. And so if you were to take that into real hard dollars, if your company is spending $1 million a quarter on software development, About 400K of that is going into dealing with the issues that arise as you're building and maintaining and running an application. And this could be everything from fixing a bug, finding a bug, searching out what the bug's doing, how it's affecting your overall application. Is it possibly causing a threat to your personal information? Is it opening up exposure to credit cards? Anything above is the application going to crash? For example, we're all using Zoom right now, and there'll be a whole team at Zoom that's working around the clock to make sure that this application is running so it doesn't crash in the middle of our streams. This is, again, has been done by manpower today, and it's still being done by manpower, is dealing with these issues that arrive any minute of the day. I'm sure we all experienced the Rogers communications crash a few years ago, a simple bug bringing that the Rogers network down to the ground, which not only costs a significant amount of dev time, but obviously the monetary damages to the brand and costs that have to go out for that. On the right, there was a report written not too long ago about that Stripe actually wrote, as you know, big payment capture company. They had reached out to many of their other fellow companies in the Valley, and it recognized the same issue that we all do, is that you're looking at about 42% in productivity loss dealing with software that's not poorly written, but maybe just the logic behind it or something that's happened that's causing the application not to run. And so again, this is a real life experience that we've had our entire life in software development, and our goal was to build something in order to tackle this and drive that cost down. So when we look at a customer in the face, we say, if you're spending 40% of your dollars debugging, add Railtown to your workflow, to your tool sets that you're using, and watch that number drop dramatically. And we will also track that velocity through our dashboards, where you can see how your developers are now producing more builds and deploying more releases at a faster level. And with our system being able to track and pick up all of the issues, point directly to where they lie, allows the developer to do a discovery process in a much quicker fashion. So again, this big number, again, some people will say it's even higher than 40%. We've seen it around this number ourselves through experience. We've built 3 main products to tackle this right out of the get-go. And our first 2 we've been commercialized. One is which is called the Root Cause Analysis Copilot, which is an early error detection system, which we find that if our AI can capture and recognize an issue before it becomes an issue to the end user, you're saving about 15x of discovery and debugging time to attack it right away, which was where the core application was built all around, and I'll explain that in a minute. The other product that we've released is what we call the Release Notes Copilot, and this is where our AI is also using natural language processing to translate what our root cause analysis copilot is finding and discovering, and translate that into descriptable English, so that when something arises, our copilot will immediately send an English description to the developing team as to what it's found, where it's found it, what it thinks it is, and how, and which way you can address that as quickly as possible. And thirdly, at the top, which is one of our big granddaddy products that we're going to be launching in the next month into beta, which is called our Scrum Master Chat Copilot. And this is a knowledge-based solution that our machine has been learning on in order to give our developers a humanistic and knowledge-based response on a communicative level directly to the application. We're really excited about the launch of this product in the next quarter. So how do we do it? Couple of things I think that again, Rob and the previous gentleman talked about is about data and how you get data and how important data is. Without data, AI doesn't exist, as we all know. And so I wanted to just break down very quickly, the differences between things like large language models that are trained on the internet, if you will, and what we call ours is a targeted language model. Our machines are trained on very specific data sets, and these are each individual company's own build data. So in these boxes up on the left, and these are, again, privacy and security about data is extremely important. And so we built our application from the ground up in the very beginning to deal with this specifically. So our AI, so if each one of these boxes would be you could consider these as somebody's software application. And so attaching Railtown to your tool set to build your application, our AI is immediately learning individualistically about each company's own application. So it becomes almost very personal to each company, as opposed to how this AI might react to this company's application or this company's application, because everybody's data is different. So we very specifically taught our machine how to train on everybody's individual private data that is not available to the greater world, like companies like ChatGPT and Bard and others that again are trading on what's free and available on the internet, as opposed to proprietary intellectual property data that's protected for all the reasons we know. And so that way, when customers use Railtown, its machine acts as almost an engineer within that company's team, and behaves and has a very personalized touch to each company. So it's different for every single application.
Another
yeah, sorry, go ahead, Mark. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Mark. Yeah.
Make about this before Corey moves on to the next slide, if you can.
Yeah. Oh, sorry,
Corey.
Yeah.
Is Bard and ChatGPT are trained on public internet data, but it's static to year 2021.
Yes.
And the advantage of a platform like Railtown, where we're connected with developers' data between logs, tickets, and the deployments, we have a great platform behind the system that is an orchestration platform that takes care of data security and privacy for each company, but it also keeps the model up to date, updated as the data comes in. We're updating our model and making this data available to our customers so they can utilize that insights and info right away. And it takes a lot of effort and a big platform and architecture to make sure this is happening real time, and orchestration is a big part of having a successful data platform.
Yeah, that's really well said, Marwan. Sorry, I should probably cover that as well. One of the things too that is about when you're building a machine to do something, you also have to create a large ingestion engine, which is something that the company is built from the ground up. Do you want to just touch on that quickly, Marwan, as well?
Yeah, so this is like year 4 for us, almost year 5. So the foundation part for us was building a large-scale data ingestion that can scale with time.
Yes.
Is able to process, ingest customer project data in real time, and be able to securely save and process that data, which helps us build the right AI copilot and models on top of that.
Yeah, well said. Thank you. So product Copilot number 1 that was released a couple months back as we pushed it up to Microsoft's cloud. This was the very beginning of Railtown, and it's our training. And again, getting back to some of the highlights that Rob talked about is, the different forms of machine learning and AI that you use to apply to very specific applications. And we're obviously a vertical application that's very specific to software development. So in the very early days, we started out by just training our machine through reinforcement learning, supervised learning, semi-supervised learning, in order to even understand what a bug is. What is a bug, and can you call out a bug? Can it capture a bug and say, this is an issue that we've seen in the system, and what does that mean? And from that, then you train it to understand where the bug is affecting in the overall application, which pages it could possibly affecting, where in the application is this going to be an issue. Should then train the machine to understand what language it's speaking. Is it speaking Java? Is it speaking C#? Is it speaking JavaScript? What language is this speaking? Thirdly, then train the machine to understand exactly where that originated from, which server it's sitting on, what developer produced that ticket to that build. And so once our machine got to the point that it understood holistically, in as Marwan said, in real time, what this issue is, how it originated, where it lies, what it's affecting, it immediately gave the team a deep insight into the root cause of where this issue is coming from. And if you're not an engineer, one thing to note, there's a lot of information in an issue, in a bug, in an error that starts to develop knowledge around. And so, and I'll pass on to Marwan here in a second, but the process of actually investigating to find out where an issue lies within an application is immensely time consuming. And in our past experiences with other company, we've had actually a red light in the bullpen that would go off as soon as a bug would arise, and all the developers would have to stand up and stop working. And then there would be this discovery phase that the team lead or the CTO or the VP of Eng would start to go down the rabbit hole to quickly find out what this is. Is it catastrophic? Is it going to cause a credit card exposure? And so on and so on. And this is one of those tasks that come about that cause that 40% of non-productivity time. Marwan, if you have any thoughts around that you want to add, please.
Yeah, and what Corey is referring to, and you probably know about, is called the triage process.
Yep.
And with that Railtown, we use 4 or 5 different systems, and it takes us a couple of hours to investigate and get to the bottom of a problem. Using Railtown AI, this is down to few minutes of an alert that is pushed to Slack or Teams or whatever system the team is using, with a complete analysis of the problem, which server, what impact it is. So we completely put the power back into the dev team to fix the problem very quickly and react to any issues.
Yeah, well said. And one of the things too is that the root cause copilot will also point directly to the code change that it's recognized that's caused this issue. So it really eliminates a significant amount of the dev time on this investigation and testing and retesting to find out if this is the correct fix. So it was one thing to train the machine to do all of this, which took in a lot of time and a lot of training and a lot of work to get to that point that we felt it was going to capture 100% of every bug that left the developer's local machine before it got pushed to the server pipeline, that we felt confident that we could launch this out to our customer base. So it was one thing that once the machine understood that what a bug was and all of the information behind it, then we needed to translate that information into English. And so we moved along to our next product, which was called the Release Notes Copilot. And this does multiple functions in the overall application. Number one, as soon as our machine captures an issue, an exception in the application, our Release Notes Copilot will immediately translate that into descriptible English. So, and an information note will be pushed out to your team, whether they're sitting on Slack or any other service that they're using to work off of, and it'll describe exactly what it's found. It'll say the the RCA Copilot has found this bug. It's originating here. It's causing these issues, and it'll give a very clean description immediately to the dev team. So whoever is working on that very specific build of that application can quickly analyze from that description from the Release Note Copilot what's happened, and then it'll direct it back to the application to show you exactly which ticket it is, what server it's lying on, and what language the bug has arisen in. So really, really important from a time saving. But it also does another service, and I'll let Marwan describe it, which is another big mundane task. And it also helps you rewrite and release what's called release notes to your customer base, which is a review of tickets. And Marwan, maybe you just want to give a description about that.
Absolutely. In new world, in agile development, we build the software in a continuous manner. We continue to deploy the code, the application to multiple servers. And communicating that and writing comprehensive release notes, whether it's internal for our internal communication between the team or for our users, is a repetitive task that takes a couple of hours to do per week. Using our advanced AI engine, we automatically decode what is being deployed. We look at the tickets, the logs, the machine code that we deployed, and automatically create release notes and publish them. So we make this idea of or co-lifting the effort that a dev team would have to do to deliver accurate release notes.
Great, thanks, Marwan. And so those were the first two commercial products that we launched up on the Microsoft Marketplace. Thirdly, as we talked about, is our next product, our granddaddy product, if you will, our knowledge-based product, which is our Scrum Master Chat Copilot. And this is a culmination of everything that's gone on before, and starting with our RCA, really our root cause analysis Copilot, which has to learn on the logic on the application, the knowledge behind the application. Why was it built? Who built it? What is the build about? What was the purpose of the build? What teams worked on the build? Everything behind each each application and each build and each ticket behind it. There's knowledge in there, and our machine has been training on that and how to understand what it is in each team and how they build their applications, to the point now with the release of this product, dev teams will be able to communicate directly to the application on a humanistic level. So you can ask the application direct questions like, I'm seeing this work item surface multiple times today. Can you please describe to me where this issue is and what this issue is? And so now the machine or your AI assistant will now communicate directly back to you. You can ask it a multitude of questions.
Sorry, Corey, we're running over a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I'll wrap it up very quickly. We've got this deck. Anybody that wants to follow up, we can follow up this in greater detail. My apologies. I didn't realize we're going so long over. Quickly, then we'll jump into the market size. How big a market is this? This is obviously a gigantic market. Software is the biggest market out there, as we know. It's only growing rapidly day to day. Currently today, annually about $11 billion is spent on marketing, on developer tools. Companies need tools to build software applications. It's a giant market. It's only growing day to day. What we're already recognizing is the growth of AI-assisted tools for software development. They're targeting, $300 billion in added cost to software development with AI tools. The beautiful thing about this, AI actually improves productivity. So these all become a zero cost to the company because it's elevating your productivity, which is obviously really, really important to everybody. One of the interesting reports just produced not too long ago was by GitHub CEO, which is a subset of Microsoft's, as you know. They're predicting AI-assisted developer tools are going to grow the global GDP by almost $1.5 trillion by effectively adding the productivity of 15 million developer productivity time by the use of AI tools. So obviously extremely important and valuable. Finally, one of the things we've talked about here is making money on AI. And I think Rob talked about it in the very beginning. I thought this was very topical and really important to call out right now. Just the other day, you saw that Microsoft put out a news release that they're now adding an AI Copilot to Microsoft 365, having an AI assistant, write your formulas for Excel, help you write your Word documents. Microsoft stock went up 4% on that news alone. Obviously, the market's on. I think Rob said the train is here now. The market's moving, and there's a very perfect monetizable market that you can see directly in front of you and how Microsoft's applying that to their overall suite of Microsoft services. So thank you guys for your time. I'm sorry I went over. As we all know, there's a lot to talk about in everybody's company. Certainly really appreciate your time. We're here for follow-up calls, and certainly we can happily take follow-up meetings as well.